Janet, what was your take on the statement, the address by the president yesterday, sort of highlighting the achievements he's made, but also the path that the government is approaching in the coming months?
Yeah, thank you. And I think I also agree with parts of the submissions by Wakili here. And for me, I'm really very excited because as at the time when the address was being held, I've already seen adverts for the 30,000 teachers that were promised. So for me, in terms of progress and in terms of really remaining committed to some of the promises that were made, I think that one for recruitment of 30,000 teachers gives me quite, a lot of hope. And also listening to a conversation that talks to reducing the costs of living and a continued commitment about reducing the cost of living, I think it gives a lot of hope to parents, especially that is what is really needed at this particular point in time. And I also wanted to sort of refocus a little bit and say that sometimes we can focus so much on maybe like, for example, what Wakili has said about the Hustler Fund. I got nothing against it, but I'm just thinking that maybe you can give somebody 500, yet you probably needed to make education free and absolutely free so that they don't get that 500 and they go spend it in school. Maybe you just need to make sure that the universal health coverage is surely universal so that you don't get the 1,000 loan or you get the 10,000 loan and then you're going to spend it in hospital. And sort of to just say that even if we do not write so many other things, we have got a very, very comprehensive constitution that has been endorsed by all of us, hustlers or not hustlers. The Constitution of Kenya has been endorsed by all of us, so that if the government just maintained the implementation of our constitution as is, I think a lot of Kenyans will, for example, you're talking about the right to water, the Bill of Rights as granted to every child in this country. So really, it's not like we are looking at developing a brand new, script. We already know what we have subscribed to ourselves and written to ourselves and admired and said, this is what we want, for everybody in this country. I just wanted to add a rider to what Wakili said here, that there are still technocrats in government who do not subscribe to the hustler narrative. And I just wanted to say that really I don't think there's anything anybody can do about the employees of government. You probably do not want to come with a mentality of wanting to maybe remove people. Can you think about inspiring them so that they can see what you're talking about? Because we cannot, but like what I was telling them about what was happening at CBC. I promised them that you cannot come in with brand new experts. I mean, you got to work with the people that are there. Right. The only thing you can do is to inspire and probably, can you explain to people and they see your point of view? You just can't remove everybody just because they're not subscribing to hustler narrative. I don't know where technocrats are supposed to subscribe to that. I don't know whether they're supposed to carry placards to say, here we are hustler, so that we are not walking around harassing people or marginalizing people or maligning people just because maybe they are perceived to be of a certain affiliation.
You've spoken about the 30,000 teachers, and I'm just wondering, because I saw the distribution. There are some that will be intern teachers, some will be absorbed directly. What is your comment about that?
Well, for me, I think I'm very comfortable because I think there were 9,000 secondary school teachers, which is really commendable, and then we have 1,000 primary school teachers, if I'm not very wrong, and about 21,000 interns that are going to be interning at the junior, secondary school. Really, we also, much as we want to do this activism and advocacy and all that, we also must remain within the realms of being realist in terms of budget availability and all that. So that looking even at the idea of interns, I have not listened to Ken UT or the teacher rights, welfare groups to just listen. What could they have? Because the only problem I would develop there is about maybe the welfare of them, what are the terms and so on and so forth. But in terms of at the stopgap, because also 23rd of January is just so next door. So really looking at a practical way of saying that we want to provide 30,000. The good news is that even if they're going to be interns, I am very sure that they're going to be qualified interns because we have overqualified. The numbers out there of qualified teachers is not anything that can worry anyone.
My interest is, because you're saying you're going to recruit, so the recruitment may conclude maybe mid or late January. And these are teachers that are supposed from the 23rd of January to be teaching junior secondary, which is a new system, a new program.
Yes.
I mean, how does that work?
Really, I know that a lot of the teachers who are out there, I know they have been exposed to CBC in one way or another, because even those that are out there, it is not that they've just been sitting at home. I am very sure that they've been teaching in private schools. They've been giving services in private schools, and so they have been exposed in a way or another to the CBC. So that I'm looking at, maybe I have not looked at the schedule of what the Teacher Service Commission is thinking about the retooling of teachers, because I think that's what we are saying. We're not talking about fresh training, because by the time you're trained as a teacher in Kenya, you're really trained on a very broad perspective. So we are probably looking at retooling the teachers and maybe capacity building them on the new issues that have come with the CBC. So I have not looked at the schedule of TSC, let me admit, so I don't know what their timelines look like.
But there is that challenge, because you'll be retooling teachers that are being recruited. I mean, do you even have the time to do that? But anyway. Maybe
because if 23rd of January is still a little bit of time. So if TSC could give itself about 2 weeks, and I also know that the tooling they will do is not for final. Probably you would say that maybe at the next holiday, you could subject the teachers to still a little bit more of training. I'm just trying to be really lenient here, considering that it is 23rd of January. We needed 30,000 teachers, and the government has said, here we are. I think it's a good step in the right direction.
Okay. All right. Gloria, so here we are. What is your take? What was your key highlight from the president's statement yesterday?
I think for me, it was the spotlight on innovation and the digital economy. For me, I loved that, first of all, we themed that event towards a certain industry, because, these events should offer a platform and an opportunity for us to push certain agendas. And the agenda for me was the digital economy. And it's funny, I actually agree with my co-panelist when she says that you can't fire people, you have to motivate them. But when you look at the digital economy and you look at the agenda that the Kenya Kwanza government has for the digital economy, you must absolutely have leaders in those institutions, in those ministries, in those state agencies who at least believe in the vision. So if the institution is not led by a believer, there is no way you're going to inspire or motivate a whole group of people to believe in something where the leadership itself does not believe in it. So I feel like when you look at the digital economy and the ministry, our Ministry of ICT, then you go down to the state agencies that are there, and you focus on the agenda that we're trying to push. Remember, we are trying to push 100,000 kilometers of fiber and all these stats that we have. You must, first of all, understand that that agenda can only be pushed through these agencies, through the budgetary allocations that are given in these agencies, and those agencies are led by people who are not believers. Look at Postal Corporation of Kenya. You might as well shut it down at this point, because they are not, the leaders of those institutions are not believers, not in the Hustler Nation movement, but in the agenda, the digital economy agenda. Because if by now we are unable to be in the, digital era, even with our postal, plans and even just short-term goals, then you cannot start telling us that, we're going to have a digital highway and this. So these are institutions that need a complete overhaul in terms of leadership. I agree that you cannot go in and say, Sasa, all of you people are Azimio people or whatever. That is illegal. But then you must have leadership that inspires.
Are you persuaded that the public service sings the tune of the sitting president? Because if the current public service is Azimio, then you convert it to Kenya Kwanza, then what do you end up with?
The public service these are civil servants. Civil servants are given the agenda, they are given objectives, and they are told this is where we are going. But the agenda and the objectives are driven by the leadership. So if, for instance, and that is the reason why every other new term or when we have a general election, a cabinet is chosen afresh, because it is the leadership of those ministries that is going to now dictate which direction that ministry is going. My focus is on this digital economy, and that is why I'm trying to sort of give my opinions around it, is when you look at institutions that are supposed to push, for instance, that, we have a digital economy blueprint that says that our vision is that we digitally empower the citizenry so that we are living in a digitally enabled society. Then you go down and look at now the agencies that are supposed to push us to that blueprint, that agenda. You look at agencies such as the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. You look at, like I said, Postal Corporation. You look at agencies such as Media Council. Media Council of Kenya is such a powerful agency that is supposed to push that our media and let's say the industry around that is going towards the digital economy, having an impact towards the GDP of this country. But you look at the people who are heading these institutions, the type of scandals that they are smeared with, the type of, they don't have the vision, you know. I know this because now I'm playing oversight and I happen to sit in the ICT committee. So I'm not speaking out of the box. I'm speaking about our own Auditor General coming out and saying that there is 14 million Kenya shillings that has been misappropriated by the Media Council of Kenya. Money that was supposed to go into innovation, money that was supposed to go into capacity building to take us towards a digital economy that someone can say, I am a content creator, and so therefore I actually earn from content creation. So for me, I would say that at least the first point of having a minister and a cabinet secretary who believes in the vision, that part has been done. Okay. But I am constantly pushing and urging the president, if we are going to achieve our agenda of the digital economy and this innovation and whatever promises that we're pushing out there, we must absolutely have a complete overhaul on these state agencies.
Question, do you have any, because you have mentioned the Postal Corporation of Kenya, do you have any thoughts of what you'd want to see if they are to be termed moving towards the digital?
Like the Postal Corporation of Kenya, I have submitted several proposals in the past, even before I came into this space as a senator, where we are trying to ensure, like for instance, why we live in estates, we live in some sort of organized community setup, right? Why do I still need a post box at GPO? Why do I need to leave my house, go to GPO, where I've been allocated a post box, and that is where I collect my mail? Why don't I have it where I live? When you're trying to tie in the institutions or corporates such as Uber and Bolt and all these online platforms that are doing deliveries or some sort of services to the people, if we actually just were completely intentional from Posta and say that we are going to identify areas where we can set up physical post boxes, because we understand that the future is that I can go online on Amazon, order something, and it will come to my doorstep. There's absolutely no reason why we are not there. It's the only reason why we are not there is that we have leadership that does not believe in innovative ideas. We have leadership that has not yet moved from the past kind of thinking of painting poster blue and you know, just basic things that don't really tie into the intentional approach of becoming. So for me, for instance, that's one thing I would put. And another thing I would actually ask is, we are in an era where, as we are saying, we are digitizing all government services. In other countries, first world countries, every Kenyan has an official email address where government talks to them. So if you are in NTSA, I know Gloria Roba is in this physical address, but she also has this email address that is official that she has registered maybe under her Huduma number. So therefore, if I need to send her a copy of a birth certificate because she lost it and said blah, 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 then that is something that I can do online. So even just e-postal services, to that extent, there's absolutely no reason why we can't organize it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Postal Corporation, their website. They have different services online, box services, Posta mobile app, passport collection, EMS calculator, track parcel, locate office. I mean,
like passport collection, you collect it where you have, if you have a post box, or if you don't, you go to GPO and give your identification. So we are still going to central places when it's supposed to be devolved down to where you live or where you work, or, you know, and that's something that we can easily organize, but it's the leadership, Sam. It's the leadership.
All right. Well, sounds like there's work to do there. But what is it, Dunstan? you look quite happy about it.
I'm only excited which leadership, and they are the ones in leadership.
No.
Are we talking of the 2030 leadership?
Get me right. I've actually given examples of state agencies that are still under leadership that does not believe in the agenda that Kenya Kwanza is trying. And actually, Dunstan, you made it clear that there are so many people, so many appointees who are still sitting in very influential positions who do not believe in the Kenya Kwanza agenda.
Okay.
So that kind of, the leadership down on the state agency levels, that needs to be changed.
Okay, I hear you. Political promises that will not be achievable. What are you talking about? What is that the Kenya Kwanza government promised that you think were just political promises that they can't achieve?
Well, first of all, there were political talks about the security apparatus taking the police back to the barracks. That was political. Today you've seen, yesterday the president recommended the National Police Service for a tremendous job to retain security of this country. And he has now said he's setting up a tribunal or a panel to look at the welfare of the police. Number two, freedom has come. Freedom has come has completely lost meaning, in the sense that freedom has come is that once freedom comes is that you eliminate the police powers of the state from enforcing KRA collections, from getting the thugs out of the streets and the other issues. Yesterday I heard the president say he's changing the fertilizer subsidy program to 1.3 million farmers using e-voucher, not to eliminate cartels. They are realizing very fast that within the presidency, 90% are cartels. As they are working with the president, those guys are looking on how to make a quick buck. So the president needs to understand that corruption is a serious issue in this country. Surprisingly, and I've sent her to tell the president that an attempt not to fight corruption, none of the president's glorious and beautiful projects will see the light of the day, because the president has a good vision. The only way to compartmentalize the people around him to deliver is that these people should know that failure to deliver or in any manner divert public funds to any other personal use will be met by the raw force of the state. That the president needs to assure his people that freedom has come does not mean they take everything and disappear.
But he appears to prefer independence of institutions to do their work. So how does he distinguish between allowing institutions to do their work and him taking a lead position, which we saw President Kenyatta coming out so strongly against corruption and bringing agencies together, but didn't succeed as much?
What the president, that I said the freedom has come, was misconstrued by the people around him. That now that the phones are not being listened by the EACC, now that the DCI has gone on maternity leave, now that all these agencies have been told go slow, they will do whatever they are going to do. For example, look at the questions of Hustler Fund. Do we have really safeguards to protect theft of this money? Do we have really legal regime to ensure it does not become another cash cow project like the NYS? Look at the president. When he came in, he said, kazi mtaani, watu watoke waondoke hapa. Yesterday, 11,000 guys have been told, come and clean the city. Slowly, that's why I said, the reality of running government. When we talk about subsidy, in almost everything, subsidy has been removed. The only area that the president seems to be comfortable with subsidy is on fertilizer. But he has realized the cartels in the fertilizer industry are not a joke. The president has a good vision, but unless the people around him who are not ready to release information, this is the only government that has a pool, a serious pool of journalists within it But this is the only government that seems not to be communicating to the citizens. Because when you talk about how does government launch a project, how does government prepare its people for what it is going to do, how does government get feedback from the Kenyans on what it is doing? So in my own view, I find that the president needs to enhance his communication. Although it is there, it is a bit moribund. It needs to be vibrant. When you also look at the question about my good Mwalimu, I used to be one like her one time, the question about employment of teachers and the questions about the CBC, it is so critical that Kenyans need to be updated every other time. One person called Kanzedena used to do a good job, although it was not one of the best. They could always be informing citizens what is happening. The communication channel of State House needs to be proactive, give information before we come to look for that information. On the question of the rule of law and the institutions, the president swore to respect completely institutions and the rule of law. We are going to see how the president is going to maneuver on the question of the CS, because there is a court order to that effect, that is an illegal position. Probably that is why he has gone slow, waiting for the outcome of the court process. In essence, all I'm saying...
What is the illegal position?
There's a court order that LSK got to stop the recruitment of the CAS, but Public Service Commission proceeded with the interviews. Then it has gone...
I thought they received applications, not interviews.
Receiving, you cannot receive when a process has been stopped. You can't. But seems they have learned the game and they are trying to follow the law. All me, I'm saying, there is a lot of future under this regime. There's a lot of future if it is harnessed and buttressed by the rule of law, by the respect of the citizens, and by bringing information to Kenyans. For example, the new bill that the president has written to Parliament.
We'll talk about that later on. Just hold it.
Right.
Note it down so that you don't forget. We want to take a short break here. When we come back, we'll be taking stock of the year 2022, some of the defining events of the year, but also looking ahead on what it will be like in 2023. Stay tuned.